And we should be live. I just realized now that we're recording from Discord, I can't take the link that gets posted in our Discord server and post that on Blue Sky. So I gotta open Discord in browser. Oh, remind me to tell you guys about posting to Blue Sky once we're offline.
Oh, did you find an auto thing?
I did. Well, it's not auto,
nice.
but I can schedule it.
Finagle it.
We'll talk about that offline. Hello, Internet. How's everyone doing? I can tell you, we're doing great.
Yep. Fabulous. No. We didn't just have a darkly depressing pre-show.
No notes here. Let's call it introspective. let's put a spin on it.
Yes.
We know where we are. We know where we want to be. And
That's right.
a daunting challenge.
And never the two will meet.
Nope.
Yes, as we push forwards and then get rolled backwards. One step forward, steamroll backwards.
That's right. That's right. We are recording this on Discord this week. Thank you very much to Microsoft for shutting down Skype. Like I've been telling people, it was beyond time for us to move off Skype anyway for a whole number of reasons. So hopefully this is as smooth as usual. I mean, even more hopeful, it's smoother than usual. But if
maybe we can switch to AOL Messenger.
Oh man, that'd be great. You got mail. Remember that? Yeah.
I would like to believe that our podcast is the reason Skype kept going for as long as
That's right. We were the last person in the Halo 2 lobby as Xbox Live is getting shut down.
300 million registered users, but these 5 people keep using it week on, week out.
Yeah,
what's going on?
Schedule. It's weird. So hopefully,
they go to Teams.
If there are any speed bumps over the next couple of weeks, hopefully you'll excuse our dust. But we'll smooth it out as we go. So this show's been around for a super long amount of time. We're just going to keep changing technologies as it goes.
Yep.
So
hey, where is your GeoCities under construction sign that you can put on the dead center of the stream?
That's right. Maybe I need to go find one. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's right in the middle, right in the cross section.
It's right on my right next to it's digging out the Neopets omelet.
Oh, dude, don't. Not to mess with your OCD at all, but Nimp's video is like 1 pixel taller than mine. I'm just saying.
How could I? Hold on.
All right.
Neopets is still running. You're right.
Yes.
My God, Neopets.
So Neopets is actually really interesting because Neopets was very instrumental in teaching young girls how to code. Because to run your own Neopets pages, you had to write your own HTML. And the number of people that are now grown-ups is the amount of women that are programmers now, because they were writing their own Neopets pages, is really big. And I think that's incredibly cool.
So when my wife and I first started dating, back in the early 2000s, she was heavily into Neopets. To the
I got into Neopets for a girl. I'm not gonna lie.
To the point that when we started dating, I think it was like the second or third week we started dating, she was like, okay, you need to make an account now. And I know you don't care what happens here, but I'm basically going to use your account to duplicate and move stuff around. I'm like, oh, so I'm your laundering account.
That's
what's
right,
happening here.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
So I did play Neopets for like a little bit, not a whole lot, but it was mostly just so that my wife had a second account, because for some reason she didn't want to have another email to just make another account with.
Right.
So.
Oh man.
So I just learned, because I googled it because I wanted to see if it was still online. Habbo Hotel is still online too.
It's Habbo Hotel.
That might be literally 2 years after you.
Yeah.
I did not know that Habbo Hotel is currently hardcore shilling for the NFT industry.
That's not too surprising, sadly.
Not in the slightest, based on the history of that thing.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Habbo. It wasn't great when I was young.
No.
It was the Roblox before its time, we'll say.
Right. That's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Huh.
Yeah.
I am
Okay.
not accepting any of your cookies.
No, good call. Get out of there.
Very good call.
Oh, we got one.
That's right. All right. Are you guys ready to get started?
Yep.
Sure, I guess.
All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer
Hello.
and the Nymph.
Hello.
Quick plug here, patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
$5 tier is the recommended one. That's per month, not per episode. If you want to pay, I don't know how many of that would be, $50 per month, that would be really great too. I'm not going to turn that down. You're more than welcome to do that. Tell your rich friends. That over there, that gets you access to the Outcast, excuse me, which is the uncensored exclusive episode over there. You get to hear about a whole bunch of stuff this week, like how blue is the best smell, the death of Skype, cast off powder drinks, new chips, the depressing state of the internet. You got it all over there and more that we haven't even recorded yet. I don't know what we're going to talk about in the future, and I would shudder to guess. You get that over there. You get early access to We Were Like It and Critical Misses. You get exclusive access to the Critical Misses production meeting. Go to kind of the fly on the wall, see how the sausage is made. We just recorded season 36's production meeting. That one was a really good one. I like that show a lot.
Yep.
I hope other people do too. I think that's a really great one.
I think it's because it's the one show that we record where you just get to be completely unhinged. Like, unhinged Boston appears only in that section.
Well, and I'm not host Boston either. Like, yes. I get to chill a little bit and do psychic damage, which is always really great.
Hey, you're gonna have to step your game up because I've been the one doing that psychic damage recently,
that's
bro.
True. That's true.
Yeah, you'll have to buy a calendar that really makes Moon angry.
Oh, no. And you get exclusive access to the Wayward Sons Supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and the Nymph are going through. All of that, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
Quick plug here. We just, Musum and I recorded our most recent episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. Talk about some Castlevania, talk about Avowed, talk about Metaphor, and talk about some other great RPGs over there, and like 10 RPGs that are releasing this month.
Nice.
A bunch of them.
I'm super excited to eventually one day check out Avowed.
Ditto. I think that was my takeaway from that show. Is yeah, I'm excited to check that out at some point. Maybe when it comes to PS5, my plate will be a little bit clearer. I tell myself
maybe we'll get lucky, and that'll be an early 2026 game.
That's right. Yeah, check me out next year.
Yep. I mean, I still have to catch up on Indiana Jones and Stalker 2, so
yeah.
I'm just, the right there.
I mean, that's why I knocked out Dragon Age and Star Wars Outlaws.
True.
It's like those were old games. Well, not old games, but last year's games on my plate still, and I just haven't picked up Indiana Jones yet.
Yeah. All right, Moon. What have you actually been playing this past week?
Speaking of last year's games,
like to play, and what are you playing?
That's right.
Well, I would like to play a whole lot more. I am playing very quick and simple games, mostly. So I finished Gris, however you want to say it. I would go check out the Game Club episode. I wrapped up the achievements on it because it left Game Pass 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So I very quickly jumped in, got all the collectibles, and then buggied on out.
Yep.
Again, we did a Game Club episode on this. Go listen to that. And spoiler alert, you should probably go play that game at some point, no matter who you are, whatever you do. Please don't. I mean, do try this at home.
And Gris was only, I don't know, 5 hours at most.
Yeah, if you're not like me and a freak for collectible achievements, yes, like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's a very focused experience.
Yes, it's pretty solid all the way around. Like, definitely give it a shot easily.
Favorite in chat asks, "Is it Edith Finch level good?" I wouldn't go that far. It's very good.
No, it's good. It's not Edith Finch, but it's good.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is a banger of a soundtrack. Like,
that's incredible.
it ties visuals and audio so well in that way. It's incredible. Go give it a shot.
Yeah.
I also started, finished, and completed Paw Patrol Pup World, which we don't really need to talk about that much.
I'm just gonna write down a Paw Patrol game.
There we go. I like the fact that in my mumbles over the internet, you still
Paw
clicked
Patrol,
which
go,
one.
Go.
Well, I heard paw something, so
Yeah, you know it's
Yeah.
got to be Paw Patrol, man.
hmm
Yeah, it was Paw Patrol Pup World, which was also on Game
Pup
Pass and
World.
also left Game Pass 2 days ago. That is a perfectly fine split screen co-op action game, open world kind of game
Mm-hmm.
that is full of the simplest quick time events that you have ever played. Hit X a lot. Or turn on the accessibility options and don't.
Right.
Completely up to you how you want to do it. It is.
Is there even a... Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry, I was
It
having
is a whatever.
trouble
You
finding
couldn't find the right game.
a long play of a Paw Patrol game. Nope, found
So,
it.
geez,
Yes.
Moon, you might have to start streaming some of this stuff so
That's right.
Austin can find the
That's
video.
right.
Listen. If I didn't have 2 jobs, I would 100% patreon.com/e1m1.
That's right.
Ones are numbers.
Thank you. Get that high enough so the Boston can pay me a living
That's
wage,
right.
and I will happily stream
Yep.
every day, including all of my achievement games, like this game,
Yep.
which is 5 hours long.
Yeah.
And it was a perfectly fine split screen experience. I mostly had a headphone in and listened to podcasts from 20 years ago while I was playing it.
These
Way
are
to do
all
it.
games that are just fine.
Yeah.
Yes. It was done by the OG, the Orange Gaming Group or something like that, which is the
Okay.
same people who did the kart racing game that me and you talked about. That
mhm.
they just put out a bunch of really decent quality license games.
Right. Yep.
And that's what this is. It's a decent quality license game for gamers who are not me.
Yeah. The
So
under
I played
10
it a
gamers.
lot. Yes, I played a lot of it.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a game,
Yep.
I guess.
Technically.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it technically is a game. It works. It loads. It has the
Yep.
achievements. None of them bugged out on me, which is more than I can say for
I
other
was
games.
gonna say, there's certain AAA games that can't pull that off. So
Yeah, exactly.
You're not wrong.
Very true. Speaking of achievements that are likely to break, I'm playing a different game right now with one of those specified achievements. I think I've mentioned this on the show before. Do we all know what the most frequent achievement to break in achievements or trophies is?
is it get everything so you can unlock their platinum version of a trophy or an achievement?
It is the get all of the other achievements
Right.
achievement.
Yeah.
Always is the one that is most likely to break on any game, period.
Right.
And of course, Monster Hunter Wilds has a get all of the other achievements
No,
achievement.
Capcom. I don't trust Capcom.
I've
So
heard a
if it
lot of interesting
breaks-
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it breaks, that's not a 10-hour game. That's not a 12-hour
Uh-huh.
game.
That's not a 100-hour game.
No, it's not. It's a 200-hour game. It's a 500-hour game. It is a ridiculous game. Anyway, Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm assuming I'm the only one of the trio who's dipped my toe into this world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only
Okay.
because my son is super interested in it and he does not want to buy it right now because he's got a list of games. My son has put like a list of games that he has to beat within a given year.
Okay.
And I'm like, why? Just play games that you
Okay.
enjoy. And he's like, no, he has to play them in a certain.
I-
It's like, all right,
I
fine,
love a
whatever,
goal.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is on the list. We're just waiting
Mhm.
until he gets to the list, this on the list, and then we'll
Right.
pick it up.
Till
and
he's
play it.
allowed himself to check
Okay.
it out.
Exactly.
Right.
So, since you guys probably eyes glazed over it, I want the pair of you to go on our Discord, look at whichever one you want to look, either the Monster Hunter Wilds channel or the Groups and Gaming channel, and just look at the profile that I created for the show.
Mhm.
I just want everybody here to just load that up. Boston, I know you're not loading it up because you're not looking at your phone.
Right.
I'm
Did
actually-
anybody,
No.
listeners, hosts, anybody, get the joke that I made in that?
Oh,
Like,
for
thing
like your
or not?
motto? I didn't get that.
Squad
Look at
5
the-
new hunters ranks any
Look at-
E1 M1 baby. We know. Yes.
Look at the logo.
Yes. With the paw. Yes.
Logo is a T-shirt with a
Oh, it's
paw
the
on it, Boston.
paw. Merch.
Do you want me to go grab my T-shirt?
No, I was hoping you would coincidentally be wearing it today.
I got it.
No,
got
I didn't
it.
think to wear it today. Unfortunately,
You can wear your own at merch.tvgp.tv.
There we go. But yes, I saw the paw print and then I saw the T-shirt outline. I was like, well, there's the logo for the group all set up. Yes,
Yep.
we have a squad in game. I have made it a habit now of joining a squad-based lobby. So anybody who wants to join in the lobby and join in with me, they can join in on that.
Nice.
Let's get the negatives out the way first, shall we?
Yeah.
Who is worse for online multiplayer experiences?
Here we go. Yep.
Is it Nintendo
or Capcom,
or is it Monster Hunter?
It's funny because like when you look at Nintendo, it's a sin of omission. It's just not there. Oh, you wanted leaderboards? We don't know them. Multiplayer lobby? No thanks. Capcom's problem is always, I want to play with my friends. Okay, step 1 of 25 is do this and do that and do... Oh, you started that other lobby? Kick everybody out. Start this other type of lobby that can turn into another lobby. It's just like, Capcom, please God. What are you doing?
Oh, and then you have to go to the Capcom website to activate being able to go multiplayer.
Right.
But wait, we see that you have an RE Universe account. Would you like to link that with your Capcom account so we can get you squared away with your Monster Hunt? Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's... Okay, so my biggest issue that I had with Monster Hunter World, when that took the world by storm, no pun intended, when that came out, was in order to play the story mode quests with somebody else, you both had to have watched the cutscene that led up to that quest.
Okay.
And you cannot watch it together. You have to watch it in your single-player game by yourself. Then once the cutscene is over, you can play that mission, or that hunt, with somebody else.
That sounds about Capcom. Yep.
Monster Hunter Wilds does the exact same thing.
Guys.
Do you know what I loved about Rise? Like Monster Hunter Rise, the Switch game that got ported after the fact to the Xbox? It had 2 lobbies. It had a single-player lobby, and it had a multiplayer lobby. When you wanted to play by yourself, you did the single-player, you did the story, the missions, and stuff like that, and that progressed the game. And then when you wanted to play with all your friends, you jumped into the multiplayer lobby, and everything was shared. You were in the same location, you could see the same quests, you could cook the same food, you could... It was superbly
That's all
done.
it needs to be.
Hey, you guys remember when console friend lists were supposed to fix this issue with multiplayer?
And lobbies and party chat, all that stuff. Yep. From 2 generations ago. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has the same problem.
Yep.
But it's worse than the Monster Hunter World problem. Do you know why it's worse than the Monster Hunter World problem?
It still won't connect.
Because it's a single contiguous world.
Oh.
So you do a mission, you do a hunt, the hunt ends, you go into a cutscene or whatever, it takes you back to base camp, then you do the Gears of War walk and talk for like 20 minutes while you explore this new area that you're rolling through. And then at the end of that is a shock of shocks, it's a monster that you have to hunt, is at the end of the 20-minute walk and talk section.
Right.
But your compatriots can only join you on that hunt if they have seen the walk and talk beforehand.
Oh, God. Okay.
So you have to time the walk and talk together to get to the mission at roughly the right time. And then because you're both in a mission at the same time, if you accept a quest from somebody else and a monster hits you while you're in the process of connecting to them, it cancels the connection.
Oh, my God.
Once again, Monster Hunter is the worst at multiplayer.
I now I understand why people have been complaining about it on Blue Sky so much, of just like, this game is really great. It is the most garbage of multiplayer kind of experiences of, in the game, you just want to get with your friends and just hunt down a giant monster. That's it.
Yep.
So here's the dumb part. That part works really well.
Nice.
Really well. as long as you're not doing anything associated with the story, which you need to do to increase the monsters and the ranks and get better materials and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So me and friend of the show Rob have been playing story tag basically. Where one of us has time to play, gets ahead of the other one. The other one has time to play, whenever we meet up, we figure out who's made the most progress and then jump in and help the other person, like by essentially hanging around waiting for the walk and talk to finish so they can jump into the quest.
Right.
It's really frustrating.
That is, and like, I know it's hard because Monster Hunter has a progression that they want you to follow through the game. So you can't really just unlock everything at the beginning and say, like, go nuts. You can play anything you want. But the idea that at this point, everybody is going to want to play this game with their friends. They wanted to do that on the PSP. They definitely want to do this on the most modern consoles. Like, the idea that that's not a functional part of this is bananas.
Like,
well,
the fact
the PSP, didn't they have to ad hoc that in Japan to make it so they could play multiplayer? It wasn't even Capcom that did it. It was the players.
Yeah, right. It was some fans created an ad hoc multiplayer thing that you loaded on your PlayStation 3, it treated everything like it was connected through LAN rather than through Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Like, I know because I used it to play Monster Hunter on the PSP with a bunch of people while chatting in a 360 party because the PlayStation 3 didn't have the party system at the time. So I was playing a PSP, like connecting through a PS3 and chatting on the 360. Like, that's how messed up Monster Hunter has been. And they got so much better with Rise. And then this is just like, I get it. Like, in one aspect, I do get it. What are you going to do? You're going to sync up everybody's cutscenes so that they say, yes, you've literally built an open world through like 7 different zones where people can be in their own areas, meet up, go and do other things, and so on and so forth. Like, you've built this whole thing.
Also,
and
Moon,
yet the thing that stops you,
every other video game does that. For like the last 2 or 3 generations, Capcom acts like, what am I supposed to just like have a shared lobby that people have like shared progress in? Yes.
Capcom figured it out in Resident Evil 5.
Resident Evil 5.
Gears of War 1 figured it out with it just like
Gears
hop in,
is not
hop out.
Capcom. Resident Evil 5 is actual Capcom.
Right, like it's just baffling that so many companies, and this isn't just Japanese companies, it's a lot of companies that are just like, we saw this with like Dying Light.
Dying Light.
Yeah, where it's like Dying Light is like, whoa. Both people progress their story at the same time. It's like, oh my god, yes. Why not? What's wrong with no? Yes, obviously.
Borderlands had the same issue with at least 1 and maybe 3 had the same issue.
Right.
They fixed it with 2, but I think they might have rolled it back for 3. And it's just like, how is this so difficult? I'm not a game dev. It's probably it's probably extremely difficult, but at the same time, when companies are making MMOs with like raid bosses with 76 people or whatever in it, and it's just like, you can't have us on the stupid bird things side by side doing the walk and talk together.
Yeah, no, remember Final Fantasy 11 was on a PS2.
Yeah, and also, like, that's the thing that I would expect out of Rise, because that was a port of a console that, like, multiplayer is more difficult on, etc.
Yep.
This being the brand new mainline, built from scratch Monster Hunter game, I expect it to function like every other acceptable Monster Hunter game, or every acceptable online game at the moment.
It drives me crazy. So. The solution to this is, if you are behind me on the story mode, I will happily help you on the story mode. You're just going to let me know. Because there are aspects of this which I think are great. So, when you join a lobby, you can be in, like... It's not great. Let me just say that. There are 3 tiers of lobby that you can join.
Okay.
I don't like to play with randos, so I always, if I'm playing by myself and I know I'm going to be playing by myself, I join what's referred to in the game as like a member lobby. So you can, that's just like, oh, put me in with a bunch of randos, whatever.
Okay.
I choose one specifically for our team squad members. So I join in, and anybody else who joins in, it's like 10 people can join all at once.
And it's like locked
And
to
with it-
only people in the same squad as you?
Yes,
Gotcha.
you can only
That's
join
cool.
it if you're in our squad.
That's cool.
And then from there, you can choose to be in a link party with somebody, the second tier of lobby.
Okay.
And a link party is basically when you are both in your own individual worlds, but
Okay.
anytime one of you starts a quest or a mission or a contract or anything like that, it gives a notification to everybody else in the link lobby saying, hey, this person started a quest. You want to go and jump in there really quick? And you can hold a button, jump in, done.
Oh,
It's
okay.
super
And
easy.
but you could also say, I don't really want to go do that hunt. I'm kind of busy like making gear and equipping and cooking food and
Exactly.
stuff. That's actually kind of cool. I kind of like that
So-
idea.
So, like, maybe I start a hunt for a monster that you've already grinded out the materials for, so you don't really care. So you just like you don't join in, you don't play
Right.
it. That's fine.
I kind of like
That is how me and Rob have been doing the story missions.
Mhm.
Is we get to the story mission, and because the monster hits you and interrupts you when the joining process,
Right.
you have to throw in your chameleon cloak and hide in a corner while you accept the invite, so you can
Incredible.
successfully join in.
So good.
But if you're not in a quest and you just get the notification, you could just join the quest. It's really easy, really simple to do.
That's pretty cool.
And then the third tier of lobbies is an environment lobby.
Okay.
And that's when they just join in your world.
Okay.
Like, they leave their own separate world, they join in your world, you're in the same place, you're walking around together, you see all of the things together. That's useful when you're not doing story missions, I will say.
And you're just like, you're in there to grind for materials or hunt new stuff
Yep.
and do end game things, stuff like that.
Yep. Because
Gotcha.
we got to a point when in the story together last night, I think it was, where we bumped into one of the first returning monsters that we've seen, maybe the third returning monster. He's my second favorite monster.
Okay.
So if you know me, you know who I'm talking about.
hmm
So I was like, look, my gear is a little old at this point, and the gear for this particular monster looks great. So I want to farm the gear. Like, I want to get this gear for this monster, like, right now.
Right.
So do you want to just hunt this monster a couple of times? So we
Yeah.
did. Start a quest, hunt the monster, wrecked shop with that monster, did it again, got all the stuff. All my gear is now that particular monster's gear. It's all leveled up, and I feel pretty powerful going on in the story now. Still hate the multiplayer aspect of this game. It's so difficult.
I like a lot of the
I-
ideas that they have there, though. Like, especially the lobby where you can, like, choose whether or not to join in, of just like,
Yes,
I'm busy.
The
you go
link
off,
lobby
like-
is incredible.
I think
Like, it's
that's
a
a cool
really
idea.
solid conceptual idea where it's just like, it's like you're all hanging out in your own games, and then someone says, "Oh, hey, let's do this hunt," and then you just
Well,
jump off, you do that hunt.
It's like what we used to do on the 360 with parties, where it's like 4 of us are playing something different, but we're all gonna, like, kind of shoot the breeze in a party chat, and it's like, oh man, I was gonna go do this thing, or like, I really need help in this, like, Gears 3 mission. Can someone hop in? Or like, yeah, I'll hop in. And you just hop right in the game and hop on. But if not, you're over there doing your own thing. Like, that's a cool
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, it's real. That part of it is really well executed. Again,
Yeah.
as long as you're not doing the story missions,
Right.
Specifically. Oh,
Frustrating.
there are things I love about it. I love the big open world. I love the contiguous, like, zonal things that you could just run from zone to zone to zone. It's fantastic. Absolutely adore it. I think the game looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely, it's not, Naughty Dog levels of graphics, but I'm not expecting it to be Naughty Dog levels of graphics, because this is Monster Hunter. They do a lot more with what they're given,
Yeah.
we'll say.
And you're playing Series
with
X,
their
I'm
stuff.
assuming? Not PC?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm playing on my Series X, yes. I don't know if it's cross-buy. It might be. If it is, I might have to check out
Oh,
and
yeah,
see
I'm
if I
not
have
sure.
it on my Xbox store. The monsters have been really cool so far. Like I said, I've run into 3 that I've faced before, and one of them was just kind of a throwaway thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, with Wilds, they finally went full Japan
Okay.
because there's way too many spiders
Oh no.
and way too many octopuses.
Okay.
Way too many.
Hmm.
Like way too many. It's a Monster Hunter game, so they are appropriately gross in all of the many,
Right,
many
and
different ways they
huge.
can be considered gross. Yes, and huge
Yeah.
and terrifying, and they move like spiders and octopus do.
Mm-hmm.
And the octopus monsters will squeeze through a tiny little hole in the wall and then come at you from behind because
Oh,
that's what
jeez.
octopus do. It's horrifying.
Oof.
The controls are better.
I love the pause there of just like, I know what these games are. They're better.
So any legacy Monster Hunter player like myself, I feel like I've got the ability to call myself that if I've been playing since the PSP days.
Yep.
And I also got them all on Peace Walker, but don't come
Yeah.
at me for that one. We'll know the claw.
Mm-hmm. The infamous
Where
claw.
where you have to hold your controller or your PSP in one hand, and then like use the face buttons and the stick and the shoulder buttons on the other side with all at the same time. There is no lock-on mechanic in Monster Hunter, as far as I'm aware. There never has been a lock-on mechanic in Monster Hunter.
Right.
It's very much been a swing away and hope you hit something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a thing now called focus mode, where if you hold the left trigger, it brings a target and reticle in the middle of your screen, and you could basically aim for the weak points on a monster to give you more specific feedback of like, oh, you've wounded them here, keep doing damage, you'll break the wound and you'll get a scale.
Oh,
You've
interesting.
wounded the tail, keep doing damage, and that thing will fly right off, and you got yourself a nice little bit of loot together.
Almost like the Horizon games, where it's like, here's kind of the weak points, here's the status of the kind of the different parts of this monster.
So I haven't played those, so I don't know.
Okay. It sounds very similar of like, here are the weak spots, here's what you can get from them, like, here's the status of like, the tail is damaged if you keep doing it. Tail's going to
Yeah,
pop right off.
so-
You can use that for crafting.
It also does the thing where it keeps you facing in that direction too. So one of the big issues with previous Monster Hunter games was you'd start to, because I'm a Switch Axe player, I start to swing away, and then the monster takes one step to the side, and I'm swinging into nothing.
Mm.
So I'm not doing any damage. But by holding the left trigger, I'm moving the camera around and focusing on the bits of the body. And as I'm spinning the camera around, my character is spinning around too. So I'm always facing and swinging the correct way.
That's pretty nice.
Left trigger to hold, left stick to move, right stick to aim, Y and B to do your attacks.
Uh-oh.
See
Okay,
the problem?
I'm putting it together
I'm
now.
getting into here.
I don't have that many hands.
The claw is back, baby, in a
Mhm.
completely different way.
Yep.
It takes some getting used to. I'm slowly getting used to it at this point. It still feels so good to play. It still feels so good to like. This is the colonialist in me saying this.
Okay.
It feels so good to kneecap the hell out of that monster, put her on the ground, and just wreck shop while it's down there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this game is full of monstrous things that you do. They've tried to back away from some of the history with Monster Hunter in this. Like, now when you collect bugs, you don't collect the bugs and keep them. You basically collect them, squish them, get the bug juice, and then let them go, and they fly away.
Okay.
So, a lot of that stuff is taken care of, but you're still like going in and destroying majestic creatures of nature
Right.
to get some body parts.
Yeah, for the horrible crimes of having cool looking body parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're doing is you're definitely not using all of the animal. I'll say that much right now.
Right.
It feels good. It sounds good. It feels good. The actions are good. And because I've been using the Switch Axe long enough now, 4 games, I'm finally getting there's 2 moves that the Switch X can do that are counter moves, and I'm finally getting my timing down after 4 games of when to time those attacks, so that like the monster will come at me, I'll do like my counter attack, and it does this wonderful thing where the monster hits me, bounces back, hits the floor, and then my guy like dashes in and does a couple of really aggressive swings. It's like, it feels really good.
Right.
It's great, and I love the way things look, and they're terrible and horrific all at the same time. Like, there's so much I love about this game, and there's so much I really don't like too. Like, the multiplayer stuff is bad. The secret, which is the horse bird thing that you ride, is both a positive and a negative, because you can jump on that and you can sharpen your blades and do all that kind of stuff while you're moving from location to location.
Oh, nice.
And it does like this automatic drive thing where it'll just go to where it needs to go. The problem is it controls like a car, and you have an accelerated brake button on it, and if you don't touch the stick, it'll just go wherever it wants to go.
Okay.
So, like, if you get into an area with a bunch of resources, you have to jump off the thing or tell it to stop so you can start gathering all this stuff. But, like, the berries, the bugs, pretty much everything, you can literally shoot your little zip gun at it and collect it from the back of the horse thing, so you don't have to go and crouch down and do the gathering animation.
Right.
To get the thing, you can just literally go in and just be like, cool.
It's like all the busy work has been cleaned up a little bit.
There's a lot that is smoothed out about it,
right?
And it's really genuinely cool. And then your secret just runs you into a monster because that's all it knows what to do. Like, it's a step. It's definitely a really big positive step into the future. But at the same time, it's like Monster Hunter. You learn these lessons. Right. You learn these lessons on a system that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Why
figured it out.
Still making these mistakes again and again and again. I don't get it. But yeah, it's great. I love it. I was talking with Rob, and Rob said that he jumped onto somebody's stream who was playing it right as they finished the game, so they hit credits. And as he jumped in, they were watching the credits. And all of the people watching were like, "Congratulations, you beat the game." He's like, "Oh no. Oh no. You don't understand.
I've only just
begun. You're playing a Monster Hunter. This is where the real Monster Hunter begins.
Yep.
After the credits, and you don't have to do any of that cutscene BS anymore."
I finished my apprenticeship. Like,
yes. Much. I will say I'm pretty sure I've just got to the point where I've found an Elder Dragon, and I will say no more. Because I haven't faced them yet, but I'm pretty sure I have an Elder Dragon in my future. Not looking forward to that. We'll say that much. Yeah, it's fun. It did a bunch of zones, a bunch of variety, a bunch of different monsters. The first monster is basically a giant frog, which is just hilarity to me. Like, there's a big old frog/toad thing, and it just goes and attacks you. It's cute and terrible at the same time, one might say. But yeah, Monster Hunter. That is all I have been playing. Mr. Nimp, please make me shut up about this game already.
All right, Moon, shut up about the game. All right, so this week, I didn't have classes this week. Did I play video games? Not a whole lot, apparently. I just kind of decided to not do a lot, so, but I did play some games. I did start playing Daybreak 2. Sorry, my mind just completely blanked for a moment there. Trails of Heroes, Daybreak 2. I did not get a chance to really get in depth with this because I have one PlayStation 4 Pro and 2 PlayStation 5s in my household. All of them are linked to my account. And my son's is the primary PlayStation right now, so that he can access all of the free stuff that I have access to. So anytime my wife and daughter go to watch something in our bedroom, it kicks me off. I had recently discovered the reason behind this is I bought the PlayStation 4 version of Daybreak 2. I got the free upgrade to PS5 with it. And that's the reason why it's kicking me off, is because it has to reference the license, and apparently it throws a fit if it sees too many accounts, and it just won't let us do it. If I played the PS4 version of it, it would probably be fine, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Also,
So,
for the record, I was like, what is Daybreak 2? What game is he talking about? Is this some
Trails
like
of Heroes.
zombie game?
Yeah,
But no, it's a Trails game. Of course it's a Trails
JRPG.
game.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I got as far, I think I've only got like 2.5 hours into the game. So starting out, obviously, your clear save data comes over with you from Daybreak 1, and you just get a whole bunch of items with it. Haven't had a chance to look at any of those yet, so I don't remember what any of them are. But when you are starting a new game, oh, there's a cat on camera.
Shrimp is being very naughty right now. Say hi to the internet, Shrimp. Hello.
I have a Louise who's asleep over there, but I shouldn't say her name because that will summon her.
I was gonna say, she'll remember that it's feeding time. But anyway, so when you start a new game, there is a recap video of everything that's happened in Daybreak 1, and it is actually really, really in depth. It is pretty long. I'm pretty sure it was like a 20-minute long video for what happened. So, there's a lot of things that happen, and there's a lot of nuanced stuff that if you're not paying attention to, you're like, wait, who was that? Or why are they doing this now, kind of thing. So once you get through the recap, you start the game, and this does take place 2 months after the first Daybreak game. So you're pretty much just picking right off. Everyone kind of not separated, but they had other things they needed to do. So everyone's kind of gone off to train in their own way, and then they're eventually going to come back. So you just start off with Van, the main character from the first game, and then Elaine, who is a bracer who was in the first game, but you just didn't see her. Like, she would pop up, but she was never truly a party member, and now she is for right now. Starting this game is like being outside on a nice crisp spring day. It just feels nice to play something that isn't, oh, it's the end of the world, or some eldritch horror game, or
Right.
do you feel depressed yet? Because this game is going to make you feel depression,
Right.
kind of game. It's like, no, this is just a nice, dumb, Van's still on his crap about knowing everything about sweets and knowing all the hot new, candy shops and stuff that opened up in town in the last 2 months, kind of thing. So it's like, all right, cool. This is where I want to be. This is just nice, cozy, and stupid, and that's why I love these games. So the game starts out story-wise where there's well, actually I should go back. The first Daybreak game, Van can turn into something called a Grendel, and it's basically just this weird monstrous suit of armor that's blue, gives him all kinds of powers. It was very interesting battle system that it created when you turned into that. He loses that ability at the end of the game for a while, and then at the start of this, it starts to come back a little bit. This game opens up with a red version of the Grendel going through and randomly killing people throughout the town. So everyone is suspicious that it's Van because they're the only one. He's the only one that anyone's seen use this power before. So Van is currently out trying to clear his name, and that's how the game starts out, where it's like, okay, you're trying to figure out who is this person? Did this other power come from that pretty much is the same, but isn't exactly. It kind of looks like, in a weird way, if you think of Venom and Carnage.
Okay.
Carnage being the psychopath, that's kind of what this is starting to feel like a little bit, where it's like just this dude who's so far out of it, but he turns into this thing that has this large gaping mouth and he just kills everything around him. It's kind of weird. And I just thought of the Venom Carnage reference right now while I was thinking about the costume or the armor and everything. But so eventually, early on, you do eventually find this thing and you attempt to fight it, and it does not go well. And now it has introduced a new system that the first game didn't have, where it's this kind of weird timeline system where you have pretty much found a dead end. So now the game is forcing you to go back to a certain point and figure out how do you work around this.
Kind of like visual novel style of like your branching
Yeah.
paths.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this is new. Nothing like this was in the first game, or any of the Trails games, honestly, before this. So it's like, all right, that's cool. So when it happened, because I'll just say it right now, within the first hour, like your two main party members who are actually really strong get killed outright, like dead through the chest, dead, like blood everywhere. It was like, whoa, this is a hell of an opening right now. So what's happening now? And that's when they introduced the system. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So when those characters move back, both of the characters that were dead start having like this weird deja vu sense of, wait a minute, weren't we kind of talking about this a moment ago? Like, why is something feels off?
Interesting.
And I'm trying to think of a way, because I don't want to completely spoil how the system is working so far, because there was like something spoilery that kind of happened that referenced a different game. Then I'm like, oh, okay. It's not that you're exactly making new choices. It's kind of just a scripted event of, hey, this is how, the game went this way, and now we're pushing it back. So I don't know how if it's going to be like a visual novel thing where it's like you decide, oh, okay, I can't get any further going this route, or this is a dead end route. I need to find, where did I go wrong kind of thing. So I don't know how in depth that's going to be. But it was interesting to have that pop in, and it has like a legit timeline with like the little nodes and like the little lines going to it. And yeah, so it's like, oh, okay, this is different. I will say now that the escalation of power in this game has gotten kind of really high, like Dragon Ball levels of high.
Yep.
Where it has.
Wait, Z or original or super?
I think we're going into super right now.
Oh my.
Okay.
It has always been the thing of your party members have always kind of been a little bit stronger than the general populace. And as the games have continued, they've kind of gotten more powerful, and then you follow a different group who starts to get more powerful, but then you start to run into enemies or people in the world who are like way more powerful than you are. And at this point in the series, we have taken out most of those people.
Oh, sure.
So all of the party members from all the games are kind of like the 1%ers in the world of power. And this game is kind of knocking on like god tier powers now. So it's a weird thing where it's like we've gone through like a slow escalation, just like Dragon Ball, of, okay, yeah, Piccolo is the big meanie, but now he's just kind of there, and
he's
he can't really compete
against the Ginyu Force.
Yeah, he's helping to hold the line so you can sit there and charge up and actually do the attack that's going to take out everybody.
Right.
No disrespect to Piccolo, but unfortunately he did plateau at some point, so...
He did, but Piccolo is the best dad of that show.
Yes.
Well, exactly.
He's the
number
only
one
good dad on that show.
Exactly. Yeah. So that it was kind of interesting, like just a revelation I was having while playing this. It's like, man, I wonder if we are going to eventually get to a point where it's like, all right, these characters that you've known for literal decades now are just all these god tier.
Yeah, they're just throwing planets around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, so we'll see what happens in the next game, maybe, or maybe even later on in this one. Maybe it gets super weird. One side note, because this was pretty much story-wise, this was about as far as I had gotten before I had to get off because my kids wanted to watch something. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. There is some new stuff that they added to, because this was the first game that also, the first Daybreak was the one that first had like the overworld fighting as well as the ATB, active time bar, kind of, or like the active timeline fighting system in it, just before Metaphor did. Metaphors is still better fighting over the world, but this
Mhm.
one did add an additional thing where in the first one you couldn't use your magic type at all. It was just physical attacks, and you can go into the command battle style.
Oh, right, I remember
This
that. Right.
one, you do now have like you can hold down triangle, and it does a magic attack. It's still not like one of the quartz magic.
Mhm.
It's just magic damage as opposed to physical damage. So they've
Oh,
added
okay.
one more thing to this. And they've messed around with a couple different things as well. There's different aspects of the battle system that they've kind of tweaked and changed since the first game as well. I'll get into that later once I play more of it, because there was like a whole wall of text that I had to read and decipher, and
In a JRPG, when the multiple paragraphs pop up, and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
no, here we go.
And I don't want to think about that right now, so I'll try to condense that down into something more readable at some point. But yeah, other than that, I'm really, like I always say, I'm really enjoying the game. There is a rabbit thing that I've fought a couple of times now, that when they do their ranged magic attack, it sounds like the team's call is starting.
Okay.
And it throws me off because it's really weird. It's like one octave down and just a beat slower. But I was like, that sounds like a team's call. But
Right.
the next game, this one's going to be super short. Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I kind of bounced around to a couple different games. And there's 3 games I'm going to talk about today. Baldur's Gate 3 being one of them. Since I couldn't play any more Daybreak 2, I was like, all right, let me pop on Baldur's Gate 3 because I wanted to test something. I wanted to figure out, is it just because with Daybreak 2, is it just because I have the PS4 disc and I'm using the upgrade to free PS5 version of the game? Is that what's causing the issue when they're watching videos?
Okay.
Oh,
Or
sure.
can I play a PS5 game or a PS4 game?
Right.
Turns out it is because of the free upgrade path. I have Baldur's Gate 3 for PS5. Pop that in there. Can play it no problem while they're watching something. Popped
Okay.
in a PS4 game. Just played the PS4 version. Plays fine. So
Okay.
I don't know why there's that stupid stipulation, but there is.
Right.
So whatever. But anyway, Baldur's Gate 3. I have been thinking a lot about this game. Not just recently, just in general, since it was
Yeah,
announced
Right.
6 years ago.
Right.
And I don't know why, but I had decided forever ago that whenever I start this game, I'm going to play as a bard.
Okay.
Because I have never played as a bard before in D&D or any other D&D style game, tabletop, whatever. It's always one of those weird classes that I've been interested in, but I've never, depending on how you build a bard, you can either be like full on support or you can kind of be like a middle range kind of character. You can also build like a full on attack bard if you want to. Those are kind of fun and crazy, but generally they're mostly a supportive role kind of thing. And I'm like, you know what, that would be kind of interesting to play as a supportive role in this game.
Yeah.
Then it came down to race.
Okay.
I was like, what do I want to be race wise? And they have everything in here. Yeah, they pretty much have everything in here. And what surprised me was the fact that they do have drow in this game.
Oh.
I'm like, that could be a fun playthrough. But I was like, but I don't want to be a loth drow because they're just pure evil, and I don't want to do an evil run starting out. Now, you could. Well, hang on, because you have 2 choices when you pick a drow. You could be a loth drow, which is basically pure evil, red eyes and everything. And I had to write this name down too because I'd never seen it before. Or you can pick to be a Seldarian drow. Now, I haven't played D&D probably in over a decade, sad to say. So I haven't kept up with everything D&D wise, but I'd never heard of Seldarian. Had to kind of look it up, and it kind of seems like this may be specific to Baldur's Gate 3, where this is just a this is just like nomenclature for like good drow, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of
It's
the
not-
opposite of the other one.
Yeah, because generally the one that everyone thinks of, Dritz, he follows Elistra, who is a goddess of nature, and also I think the daughter of Loth, I believe. It's been a long time, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, surface drow follow Elistray because she is good and gives redemption to all drow who don't want to be pure evil anymore, and that's where the whole conflict between under earth drow and above ground drow start. I decided, it's like, all right, fine. I will go Sildarian drow. I will be a bard because I originally was thinking it would be really funny to be a drow spreading the word of law throughout Baldur's Gate, but that's when I was also like, I don't necessarily want to do an evil route my first time through figuring this all out, because games have never figured out, and maybe they have with this one, I don't know, but it always tends to be, if you play the evil route in a game, you get less content and everything gets kind of screwy and off the wheels real quick. So created my character. I spent probably about a good 45 minutes making my character, and then once I got done with that,
character creation tools.
Once I got done with that, it then switches me over to, hey, create your guardian character.
Yep.
All right, what's a guardian character? So then I was.
By the way, Monster Hunter Wilds is a banging character creator. Like, there's some crazy ones out there already.
Nice. This one is not as in-depth as I thought it was going to be, but the consoles do have mod support. I don't know, I did not look into if they disable achievements or trophies.
Right.
But there is a bunch of mod support that you can download and play on this, so you can get more in-depth with the character creator. But anyway, so I got done creating my character. It asked me to make a guardian character. Went out to eat dinner with my family, and I told my wife, hey, game's wanting me to make another character. Do you want to make this character? Because she loves doing character builder stuff all day. That's why she loves Sims as well. So yes, she sat down. She made my guardian character. I've seen bits and pieces of what the guardian character looks like, but I don't know, because I tried to stay out of the room while she was making it to kind of be a surprise. So it's entirely possible that I've already met my guardian character. I don't know.
That's really fun. That's a fun idea.
Yeah. And I have no clue. I know there is something about the character you make and your guardian character. I don't know what the specifics are because I've tried really hard not to get spoiled on anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that'll be interesting to find out when that comes into effect or not. But game starts out. You have been kidnapped by mind flayers or illithids, and they are putting tadpoles in you.
Oh my, it's the Matrix all over again.
Yep.
So it's exactly the Matrix, only not through the belly button.
Oh no.
Because you see it starts out with it being a first person camera view, and then you can see that another character is awake, and the illithid grabs the tadpole out of this pond, walks over to them, and psychically holds their eye open, and that thing goes there.
No thanks.
Exactly. And then, in a not shocking turn of events, it goes back to first person view mode. And guess whose turn it is?
No.
And you get to see that thing up close, and it is ugly.
Oh boy.
So that happens. Lots of fighting ends up happening outside of your ship. You guys get knocked free from the chamber that you were being held in, and then it's up to you to escape. And basically what's happening is a bunch of Githyanki, who I had never heard of them before Baldur's Gate 3. Turns out they're kind of maybe an alien race, an actual alien race. Show up on dragons and start attacking the ship that you're on, and the illithid escapes by teleporting to another plane. The dragons take it down, teleports to another place, and then you crash land on a beach somewhere, and you just need to survive. It's all right, cool. I find throughout the ship, I think there was two other people, Shadowheart, and I forgot the Githyanki's name. It started with an L. You see those two people, and you can find them again. You can find a couple different characters if you explore more. And I am now at the point where I am dealing with the tieflings and the druids, which I know this was like a very early story point that I'd heard of back when the game was like in early access, where I can either choose to help the druids basically lock down this forest because they're constantly being attacked by monsters and they don't want strangers or anybody else here except for druids, or I can help the tieflings who don't want to leave because they're not strong enough to make it to Baldur's Gate on their own, and the druids are kind of trying to force them out. So I can choose to try to help one or the other, or maybe hopefully find resolution between the two. I don't know yet. We'll find out if I screw this up or not, or if there is a way to screw this up. It sounds like there is a way to screw this up, because
there is.
Just hearing people talk about this, it seems like there is always at least 5 different ways to go about doing something.
Right.
At a minimum. So I've just been going through trying to figure out what I want to do. I am not following a guide. I have already screwed up a couple of rolls on a couple different things, and it's been really fun to do it. I feel like trying to figure out story progression with failed rolls is just as interesting as when you succeed with the rolls. It's kind of like playing an actual D&D campaign.
Yep.
Where as long as you don't have a DM or a GM who is out to kill you all.
Right, like out to get you overall.
Yeah. A failed roll isn't a death sentence.
Right.
I am used to playing with a DM who is out to kill you. And it's still usually fun if you get a failed roll, unless you're fighting a dragon. Right. Then it's never fun. So yeah, that's as far as I've gotten with this game. I've done some battles. Nothing really to report home about on that yet. I will... I've been bouncing around. So I will get back to this game. I don't know if this is the game I'm going to land on, because there is a lot of thinking and a lot of planning that I had to do. And I already had to reload a save file because I keep hitting triangle to pull up the menu during a battle, and that ends your turn. And then that leaves a character out in the open for 8 other enemies to throw stuff at them and set them on fire and kill them. And then I got into this weird rotation of, okay, cool, I just brought them back up and they're down again. And I just brought them back up and they're down again. So I was like, nope, reload.
Yep.
So, my last game to talk about this week. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game. I am playing this on PC. This was something that I had attempted to play on my old PC way back when, and it could run it, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
My new PC can run it just fine. Steady 60 frames per second, except for cutscenes, which are only 30 frames per second. So it doesn't bother me. Whatever. The game still looks good. I'm playing it off of GOG right now, and it has all the like HD texture packs and like all of that stuff into it, and it still looks dated, but it looks decent. And I believe my computer's playing this all on like high max settings or whatever as well, so it looks fine. It plays fine. Let me pull out my notes for this game. So starting out, for anyone who's never heard anything about this game, you are basically the blacksmith's son, and you are not the chosen one. You are nothing. You're just a peasant, a commoner, whose dad is a blacksmith, and you're helping him build a sword for your local lord. And you and your father complete this sword, and you show it off to the lord. The lord has to go do something, but he wants you to like kind of present the sword to him later. And the town, the village actually, the hovel that you're in gets attacked by a group of people. And there's this is based on a historical event that happened in the 14th century, I believe they said. Because you get, at the start of the game, you get like this whole thing about this specific king who, you know, took over for their dad, who their father was a really good king. Everyone loved him. The son doesn't care about the kingdom, is more about cardinal pleasures, and that's all he's ever about. And so everything has started to fall to ruin. So now his brother, was in Hungary for some reason. I don't know if they ever say in the game why, but other nobles have come to the brother and said, "Hey, your brother sucks as a king. We want you as a king." And he's like, "All right, cool." So he brings this army from Hungary with him, and they are pretty much just pillaging the countryside, which you're a part of. So your town, village of Skalitz, is attacked. Everything is burnt. Your parents get killed in front of you, and you have the Lord's sword in your hand, but you're basically told, hey, you can't do anything. Just trying to lift this blade and swing it a couple of times makes you run out of breath. You're not going to help anybody. So you run for cover in the castle. They already have the gate up, and they're just telling you, hey, run around the castle. There's a side path. Go to the next castle town, which isn't that far away, and warn them about what's happening here and get them to send help. So then it turns into a chase sequence where you have like all these people chasing out behind you, and you're just running through these fields. And eventually there's like this little prompt that comes up that says, hey, find a horse so you can make it to the next town. So I just steal some random dude's horse as there's like people being killed, things are being lit on fire all around you, and you're just booking it through the countryside trying to get past. And I'm getting shot at with like arrows and everything. I think my horse took like a hit, and that kind of freaked it out for a moment. All the while, I am trying to figure out how to use this horse.
Right.
Because you are not a horse handler. Like I said, you are a commoner. You don't know anything. And that is how this game plays. Where it's like, yeah, you can ride this horse. Have you seen a horse before? Have you been on top of a horse before?
Right.
No. I mean, you've seen a horse, but chances are he's never ridden a horse. So you have no real way of controlling the horse. Luckily, though, it does do the Red Dead Redemption thing of if you hold down the sprint button, it will just sprint on a road until you tell it to veer off or anything.
Oh, that's great.
So eventually I figured out if I just hold down that, the horse will keep going, which is great because I looked behind me one time and there was like 8 people on horseback behind me shooting arrows at me the entire time. I died like 5 or 6 times trying to get to the other town to warn them about what was happening. So this is not a quick, oh yeah, I'm going to take over the Coliseum here. No, you're going to get your teeth kicked in for a bit. So once you get there, you warn that lord what's happening. It's nighttime, it's raining, there's thundering happening. Really great environmental sound effects of just rain falling, the thunder clashing in the background with the lightning and everything. And eventually you're kind of just sitting out on the wall with these guards because you don't really know what to do, and it's kind of nighttime, but you're like too amped up to really fall back asleep. So you're kind of just there with the guards, and you're sitting there watching until daybreak comes to make sure no one else shows up. And then you decide that, okay, my parents are dead out in the open. Good moral Christian values. I have to go back and I have to bury my parents so that they don't get desecrated by wildlife. The problem with this is that you were told by your lord, because throughout the night while you were on guard, some of the survivors came by. They continue on, but one of them was that lord that you were holding that sword for, and he tells you, "Hey, stay here for now. Come out when it's safe, and come find me." But you're just like, "No, I have to go back to the town. I have to bury my parents." So you have to escape from the city that you're in, so that way you can run back to town to bury your parents. It doesn't go well. You get your teeth kicked in by bandits, and you lose the sword, and you don't bury your parents. But luckily, that lord sent knights after you to come bring you back, and there happened to be a surviving woman there who yells out a lot of profanities at these bandits that were kicking your teeth in. She distracts them. These knights roll in, take them all out, and they happen to bury your parents for you. And then there's a whole cutscene of you basically being tossed in the back of the wagon and being brought countryside by this woman who tried to help you. And now you're in a whole other area. Like, I pulled it up on the map. Skalitz is like all the way in the top left corner, and you're in this little town place that's like towards the bottom right. So you go a pretty fair distance, and the map's pretty big too. You eventually wake up, you get filled in on what happened, what was going on, and now you're just kind of left to your own devices of, okay, what am I doing now? What can I do now? The woman who saved you, his name is Teresa. She brings you to her uncle's place. You were out for like 2 weeks. Uncle isn't happy that you're just a useless mouth that he was feeding this entire time, so you have to pay him back. So he sets you on this mission of, there's this person who was killed recently. The executioner just killed him, just buried him. I want you to get the ring that this guy had. You need to go find his corpse and get this ring. He doesn't care how you do it. Just go do it.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So I find the executioner. I talk to them and basically bring up, hey, do you have this ring or not? And his guy's like, yeah, no, I've got it. It's locked up. I'm like, okay, so there's a couple things that I can do here. I can either kill the executioner. That's not... I don't have a weapon or anything besides my fist. That's not happening. I can try to, like, break into his home and steal it. I don't have a lockpick, so that's not happening. Or, what I found out I could do is I could sneak up behind him and choke him out, and then take the key to the chest to unlock it to get the key, or to get the ring that I need. That kind of went fine. It took a couple save scums to figure out how choking somebody out works.
Right.
And then I get the key. I go to get into his house, find out that he locked the door to his house, and I'm like, great. Still don't have a lockpick. Had to go back to the guy's body, find the door key, go back to his house, open the door, unlock the chest, grab the key, and just for good measure, I shut the door and I put both keys back in the guy's pocket, and I leave with the ring because that's all I wanted.
Nothing ever happened.
Exactly. Turns out that Millers in this game, who is Teresa's uncle, are mostly considered thieves or people of mostly ill repute. I am not going to be able to say that word. Yes, thank you. I don't know why that was such a struggle. Anyway, so when you get back with this ring to him, he's like, cool, go bring this to the other Miller. But before you do that, I can teach you some stuff. Like, hey, you want to know how to pickpocket? You want to know how to pick a lock? I'm like, yeah, that would have been helpful a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
So he shows me this stuff. I was like, all right, cool. This is great. At this point in time, though, I switched from doing mouse and keyboard to playing with an Xbox controller. I was actually using... I reviewed this controller way back when. The Power A controller.
Oh, yeah.
I can hold it up. Yeah. This is the second one that we had that we're like, we don't know what we're going to do with it, but we paid for it, so we're not going to get rid of it. Well, now I'm using it to play Kingdom Come Deliverance on my computer.
Right.
Lock-picking minigame kind of sucks with a controller. Oh boy. You have a dial that you have to rotate with your left stick. With your right stick, you have a circle that you're moving around, and within that circle, there's a ball that shows up, and it gets increasingly bigger as you get closer to the sweet spot. And once you find it, it goes from a metallic gray to a gold color. So then what you have to do is you have to rotate the left analog stick and move the right stick so that way that other circle stays at that sweet spot.
Oh.
And it is not great with analog sticks at all. So what I do is whenever I go to lock, or whenever I go to pick a lock, I put the controller down and I use mouse and keyboard. Because all you have to do for mouse and keyboard is find the sweet spot with your mouse and then hold down the D key on your keyboard and just rotate with the mouse cursor. And boom, you popped a lock. So much easier than doing it with a controller. 100% easier. So cool. Get that figured out. Now I can pick locks all day long. on the very easy setting.
Right.
We're good to go there. That is not what kept my interest, though, because I then found out in pure Elder Scrolls fashion, oh, hey, there's a field, and I can pick flowers. And every time I pick a flower, my level for herbs goes up.
Oh, here we go. All right.
And it's filling a bar.
Oh, yeah.
So I spend an hour picking clean a field of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And my herbology skill is at level 7.
There you go.
But if I get it to level 10, and this is the weird part too. It's kind of set up like Morrowind, where you have, and a little bit like Skyrim, where you have certain skills, and the more you use those skills, it starts to level up a bar.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is once it hits a certain level, you can get a perk point for that thing. So with herbology, I have it where it's like, okay, as that level increases, you can start picking up more than one herb at a time, and it happens faster. And then I have a skill that I have equipped now that's permanent called Flower Power. Okay,
incredible.
And any time you have a fragrant, wow, I'm just having issues with words today. Whenever you pick up, I think it was like you had to have more than 2 of a fragrant flower in your inventory, it will increase your charisma by 2 points.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Guess who just spent an hour in a field picking
That's
up
right.
all these nice smelling flowers? So now I have like this perk for that.
Nice.
When I get this up to level 10, though, there is a perk that I can unlock called Leg Day, which means every time I pick an herb, I will start earning experience towards my strength skill.
Okay.
I have not made it to level 10 yet, but I am getting there.
Got a new goal.
Because that is just gonna make it worse, because now I'll have to start picking flowers so that I can get my strength to boost up.
Right.
So it is already becoming a problem. In a good way, and I guess a bad way. The best part being is that you don't have to do combat in this game, which is great because you suck at combat starting out. I am at a story point where I am being brought on as a page, so I have just finished training with a captain who kind of doesn't want anything to do with me. He was showing me the ropes, which was great because I needed that because I wasn't fully understanding how the combat was working in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to attack somebody, you get like this. If you think of like a 5-point star on your screen, that turns into your aiming reticle. And with the right stick, you can choose the top point of the star, which is like a head strike. Right point, which would be obviously like a right swing. The bottom right would be like an upper, like up towards the head. You can basically just angle your attack. And if you keep mixing it up, it makes it harder for the enemy to attack you or to block it. Enemies swing really fast, so it's kind of difficult to keep up with them. But luckily, they start you out slow, and then once you hit, a certain amount of blocks, like block this 5 times or whatever, then it's like, okay, now we're going to do this at the normal pace. And that made it a lot easier to figure out. They also include this new thing. I don't even know if it was there in the beginning because I don't remember seeing it, but I wasn't really paying attention to the reticle. The center point of the star, if you pay attention now, will turn into a green shield, and that means you hit block right then and there. You don't use up any stamina for blocking.
Oh, wow.
And you can kind of throw them off as well. So it's kind of like a perfect block mechanic a little bit. You can also, instead of blocking, dodge. If you dodge in the correct way, it will throw them off, and that will open them up to you being able to attack them. So it's taken a lot to figure this out. I basically wiggle the right stick around a lot and then hit attack, so no one knows who's attacking from where, because I don't know.
Yeah, not even me.
Yeah, exactly. Always leave them guessing.
That's right.
Fighting with a bow kind of sucks because for some reason you have a reticle all the time, even during sword fighting. As soon as you pull out a bow, that reticle disappears.
Oh my god.
You have nothing to aim with. It's just a guess. Oh my god. I modded this game for 2 things. Yeah. One of them being turn reticle on when I pull out a bow.
Yep.
Makes it so much easier. it still sucks because you are still a commoner. You still breathe heavily, like I do, if you run for more than 2 seconds.
Right.
All right? Drawing a bow is tough work. You're going to start to shake. And they do that realistically, where it's like, okay, you got that draw on that bow. You have like a second to figure out where you're sending this arrow before you start to drift everywhere with it. So, but it's one of those things too, is like you keep using the bow, you get better at it, you get stronger with it, and then it becomes easier for you to use. My weakness for mechanics.
Right.
So having that reticle on has been very helpful, especially with all the extra swaying and stuff. It's still just a pain to figure that out. So I'm going to keep playing this. I think this is the game that I've settled on that maybe what I do from here on out for a bit while I can't play Daybreak. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Especially since like I just completed a DLC where it's called a Women's Lot, and it's basically you follow Teresa the day before the attack on the village, the day of the attack on the village, and the day after the attack on the village. The DLC was fine. The only thing I disliked about it was that you're controlling a different character and nothing carries over back into the main game.
Oh, okay.
So the only thing that you seem to get for completing this DLC is actually from what it seems like, a really decent shield. So I'm like, okay, cool. At least I get that. But like picking up herbs or items or building up stats for Teresa does not translate over to Henry, who is the main character that you play as. So it kind of felt like a waste for a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Teresa was like, after running that DLC story though, like I have a higher respect for Teresa now, which is really awesome because she's actually kind of badass for just being a miller's daughter.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'll keep putzing around with here. The other mod that I did install, which is why I didn't want to play this on console, is because for you to be able to save in this game, you have to have savory schnapps.
Okay.
And you have to drink them, and that will allow you to save anywhere that you outside of a fight kind of thing. My next mod was to stop needing those so you can just save like a normal game.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so those are the only 2 mods that I have running right now on this game. The only one I'm thinking I might do is making herbs or plants easier to see and pick, just because you can tell, because if you see something colorful in a green field, that's probably something worth picking. But then you get things like mint, where it's like it's a small little weed looking thing and it blends in with everything else, and sometimes you can be looking right at the plant and it won't let you pick it up because you're not hitting that pixel perfect spot for it to allow you to grab it. So I might download that too, just to try it out. But outside of that, like, it's been fun. Nice. It reminds me a lot of Morrowind in a weird way. So I am looking forward to playing a lot more of this game, especially since I can get it to run now. But yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game, not the second game.
Right.
Pretty fun. A lot of swear words, a lot of vulgar language. For a group of Christian people,
that's right.
There have been words that have been said out loud that I'm like, I haven't heard that word in a long time.
That's right. Blushing over
here. But that's all I've been playing this week.
All right, I'm going to start my part with a bit of a showstopper, which I don't really like doing. But it's Steam Next Fest right now, which I think ends here in the next couple of days. Yep. So I was going to check out a bunch of demos, and I only got around to playing one of them because it's really good. And I spent my time with Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3, the upcoming Strange Scaffold game. If you're watching a video version, I apologize for the VTuber dinosaur in the corner of this video. It doesn't exist in the demo. There's nobody has put up a video of this. I should have recorded myself playing it.
Yeah, see, it's catching on.
If you haven't heard of this game before, Strange Scaffold is making a Metroidvania game. So it is a Match 3 Metroidvania game. You use your standard Match 3 mechanics to do everything in the game. Like the very first quote-unquote fight you get into in the game is against a wrought iron gate, and you're solving the puzzle there to open the gate. And the gate occasionally will attack you, but the only thing it attacks you with is it's sharp, and you sort of took too long. So it's interesting in that perspective because they're sort of extending the match 3 mechanics beyond just battling, which you do definitely still battle. But if you're investigating a painting, or if you're trying to talk to somebody, or you're fighting a dinosaur, you're kind of doing the same match 3 stuff throughout the entire thing. It is very cleverly written. I mean, that's kind of my expectation with it being a Strange Scaffold game, that it is really a clever game overall. I'll talk about what the game is in a minute, just in case you don't want to get spoiled on either what the game is about or what the demo is about. But I'm really impressed by the actual puzzle playing part of it. And you might be saying, Boston, why are you kind of impressed by a match 3 game? But I think we all remember playing was it Puzzle Quest 2? And you run into that pile of rats, and you're like, cool, the pile of rats just got, like, on its first turn, just did like a 50 combo on me and destroyed me in one turn. Yeah. I like this game quite a bit because I don't feel like the enemy that I'm fighting against, whether it's like a gate or an undead T-Rex or whatever, I feel like it doesn't have a leg up on me with the game's mechanics. And I'm never fighting against anybody that has, like, you could see the perfect combo coming from like 3 screen clears away, and they found the right thing. It feels like they have the same chances that I do to get that really satisfying, like, 10 times combo or something like that. So I really appreciate that from a gameplay perspective of, like, the deck seems stacked the same way, whether it's the enemy or myself.
I felt that a lot with like Puzzle Quest way back when, where it always felt like it's like these AI would, or the CPU, whatever, would just get on a roll, and it's like I can't even find a spot to attack back because they keep grabbing and they keep just rolling over me.
Yeah, and I'm like just sitting here waiting for my turn. It's like, okay, you just you're still hitting me. I haven't run into that with this, which I think feels really great. It does do something very similar to how Puzzle Quest does, where you're matching symbols. You're using your stockpile of symbols to cast spells. And spells in this are like first aid, so you patch yourself up a little bit. And there's spells that you get because they're story related in that fight. So you're doing kind of specific things for that fight. And there are, in some fights, just knives as a symbol. You match knives, you do, X number of damage to the enemy. In some battles, there's one battle I really like where you're investigating a painting that seems like there's something wrong with it. There are no like knife symbols on there, but there are paintbrush symbols, and every time you match paintbrushes, it fills up a bar for your investigation on that painting. But in that one, every time you match red symbols, it decreases your progression a little bit. So it's this kind of neat, like every battle is a little bit different. There are battles where it's just you're fighting this dinosaur and you're just casting spells and trying to keep yourself alive and that stuff, but there's also some more interesting stuff there. Because it's a Metroidvania, you do get a map that has branching paths on it. So you're investigating this thing as the game goes on. I'll talk about it here in a second. And like we were talking about before, you're encouraged to kind of go back in quote unquote in time to previous parts of the mansion that you're in and try a path again and choose another option. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 options. sometimes you have to progress a skill a number of times for you to unlock that skill, and then you can use that as an option to go a different pathway down an area in the mansion. That stuff feels really good. Like unlocking this thing or discovering new skills. I ate a book. The game was just like, hey, you found this book. Do you want to like read it, investigate it, or eat it? And I said, well, I'm gonna eat the book. And the game just has this overly long description of you just like horking down this giant book, just like, and eating it. And the skill you get unlocked after that is feral. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, that tracks. Yep, I just ate a book. That sounds about right. And like all of that stuff feels really great. The only thing that I wish in the full game is, as you're looking at the map, you can kind of see where stuff branches. They have an icon for when there's a puzzle that you're gonna do match 3 stuff on. They have a brick wall icon for when you've reached the end of a pathway, so you can really clearly tell, okay, this thing branches off 3 ways. I've explored 2 of the ways, but I think I can go this other way. Let me go back this path and see if I can figure out how to get that 3rd way. I kind of wish on those nodes on the map that you could see kind of what the choices are there, because there have been a couple of times where I've gone down the path, fought maybe a battle or 2, and I'm like, oh right, I need this skill and I haven't figured out how to get it yet. And I feel like I didn't really like waste time going that way, but if I had known what my choices were at that node, I would have known, okay, I need to go a different way to sort of unlock something.
Gotcha.
And matched with that, I sort of wish that there was an option for you to get through text a little bit faster if you've seen it before, especially if you're kind of going down a path multiple times to get multiple different branches. It'd be nice if you can get through that stuff a little bit speedier. But neither of those are really kind of ruining the enjoyment for me. One of my the thing that I didn't realize about this game is its story. I'm going to spoil the story of either the demo or the game. I'm not going to like spoil the entire thing because this is just a demo. At some point, you get to the point where you die in the game and you come back and you realize that this turns into a game about game development and the challenges of game development and kind of like working under constraints of what a game can be and how you develop games. And a big part of the demo is finding out all of the bugs that are like bothering the game and identifying them and figuring out a way around them. And on the flip side, there's a really great, in the like main lobby of the place, you can go one way and you'll run into like a hall of suit of armor. You go the other way, it's like a painted door and you have a bunch of paintings and stuff. In that painted area, you can go and take another alternate path. It's basically a hallway of creepy clowns, but development hasn't finished on the hallway of creepy clowns yet, so it's all like stock artwork of and like unfinished text boxes of the creepy clowns. Like, and a lot of it is like there's a bunch of text boxes, and one of the text boxes is just to write creepy clown like song or poem or something. Like, it's all really leaning into this idea of like in certain parts of the game it's not completely done or you're running into bugs in a way that I feel like only Strange Scaffold could do. And I mean that with all the love in my heart of just like, this feels very much like a Strange Scaffold game, and that's really exciting. That from a storyline perspective, it's really great. and from a gameplay perspective, it's really great. So I'm really excited for this. I think I finished the demo, but I'm not entirely sure. If I didn't finish it, then I think I kind of missed a place that I can go down, like another path, and I just didn't find that. But I had a lot of fun with it. This is the thing I played the majority of the time that I had this week. I didn't have a lot of time, but I spent the majority of my time with this game this week. That's Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3. A Strange Scaffolds No Game. I don't think it has a release date yet, but I kind of get the impression that it's from Zolliver Nelson Jr.'s Blue Sky and Twitter accounts. I don't think it's super far off. Again, I don't work for the company, so don't quote me. But, you know, their development times seem to be not super long for these games. So I'm real excited for it. I will definitely be checking this out when the full version comes out. It looks...
They also released a demo for that TMNT game, too.
Yeah, I wanted to play that this week, and I sort of ran out of time. So I'm hoping I can try that out there. They're kind of like tabletop strategy Ninja Turtles game that looks really cool. So they have both of those demos out for Steam Next Fest. So Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3, it's a Metroidvania. It's super cool. It's a Strange Scaffold game in the way that I really love and really like. So check that out. Hopefully the demo's around for a little bit longer. I'm not sure if it's one of those demos that's only available during the Steam Next Fest or not, but I think we'll know here pretty quickly. So check that out. It's super cool. It's definitely the most unique thing that you've played, and I mean that very complimentary. So next game here, Citizen Sleeper 2. I have 3 trophies left in the game. Recruit Nia.
Woo.
Spoiler thing on like a big mission in the second half of the game, which we talked about in the Game Club episode. Go check that out. And complete the game on dangerous difficulty. There are 3 difficulties for the game. It's like risky, I think, is the easiest one, I think. There are almost no downsides to failing or dying in the game on that one. There's normal, which is you break dice and your dice are completely unavailable, stuff like that. And then dangerous, where you die and your game is completely over. And there's also other things of like, you use basically double the resources as you go through. Rolls are much more risky, things like that. I'm not having fun in that playthrough.
Nope. It is way too difficult.
I respect it and I like it. Like, I like what they're going for with the difficulty in that mode. It's really not for me. I think if you were looking for a fair but tough, like fair but punishing playthrough of Citizen Sleeper 2, that is not your first one. Please God, do not play this game on that difficulty for the first time. You will end your run. It's really rough. I don't think I'm going to finish I don't think I'm going to get the platinum for this game, because I think if I play through that difficulty, I will hate this game. Just like from a my personal standpoint, I really don't want to hate this game that I love. So at that point, you just got to pull the ripcord and just say, like, all right, I'm not going to get... I could probably do another playthrough on the easiest difficulty, recruit Nia, because it's one of those things where, like, you get to the point where you can recruit 2 people and you can only recruit one of them. I sort of realized that, so I recruited the person I didn't want to recruit instead of recruiting Nia. I could do another playthrough of those, but I kind of don't want to. I feel like I've gotten my enjoyment out of Citizen Sleeper 2, and I don't want to, like, work in the salt mines to get the last couple of trophies. So I'd rather kind of keep on it. But still, like we talked about in the Game Club episode, this gets my highest recommendation. Both of these games are incredible. You should play 1 and the DLC. You can read the like in between news stories on the newsletter for Jump Over the Age before you get into 2 if you want to. You really don't need to. But 2 is a different game than 1, but still really incredible. But maybe don't go for a dangerous playthrough. It seems.
I mean, maybe it will be patched and it will be easier. I don't know, but it's
yeah.
rough, dude.
I could just go play Tharsis. Like, that's the dice game I can play if I want something to kick me in the teeth. That game is brutal. That's not really what I'm looking for in Citizen Sleeper 2. So, the game's so great, though. You should check it out. Play it. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. The game did the thing I was worried about, which is it turned me loose in Hawaii, the same Hawaii from Infinite Wealth, and I was like, well, all right, that's the rest of my next like 2 or 3 weeks while I start knocking out side stuff here. So that's what I did this week.
Nice.
And they kind of did a like a devious thing where it's like, oh yeah, you can just go explore. Before you get to the next story point, you need to have 10 crew members, and you need to have $10,000. So maybe you should just go start doing side quests. And I was like, ooh, how dare you? But also thank you. So like, you get introduced to Madlantis, which is the like pirate enclave that's at the center of this game, and that has some of the side quest stuff in there. The thing you get introduced to really early on is the baseball game that they usually have in these games, except this one you're hitting cannonballs into explosive barrels. So of course you are, because how could you get more ridiculous than before? I think if you're... This game is a little bit challenging to talk about because it's very much like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. That was the kind of spin-off bridge story between Yakuza Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth. This is really the bridge story between Infinite Wealth and then whatever's going to come next. So, like, you're on the exact same map in Hawaii as you were in Infinite Wealth. You're meeting a lot of the same characters you were in the last game. You're playing as Majima now, so a lot of it is fun of just, like, you're meeting these wacky cast of characters from the last game, and you're like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. That guy in the last game made a giant 80-foot-long Roomba to try and clean up crime in the city by sucking up criminals. And, of course, that didn't work. Now I'm going to run into him again, and he's making something even more ridiculous. So, like, that's really fun. If that doesn't sound like the thing... It's sort of tough. Doesn't sound like the thing that you're into, you probably shouldn't pick it up. If it does, you're probably playing this already anyway. So, like, it's in kind of a weird spot of, like, yeah, I'm happy to run across Hawaii again and do side quests for all these characters. I'm picking up the little strips of paper for the fortunes for the big guy in the rabbit costume, and he's gonna trade them like he did in the last game. I'm running into a bunch of the same people I did before, and for me, that's great. Like, just sign me up. I'm super pumped to do all of that stuff again, with a different battle system and with a different character this time, and have it be just a little bit different than before.
Is it good to go back to like the action gameplay after so the JRPG styles?
I personally think so, yeah. I kind of like how they're flopping between the two. Like, the mainline games are the kind of turn-based JRPG, and then the spin-off games are the action RPG sort of stuff. I like that they're kind of playing around with both of them, because it's neat playing as Majima, especially with his two different jobs here that are so different. One of them is really brawling-based with his knives, and then the other one is like a pirate based, where you have a like a pistol and you're throwing these kind of cutlasses as boomerangs, and you're using I have like a grappling hook thing that I got that I can use to pull things down in the environment and pull myself up onto rooftops around town, but you can also use that to pull yourself towards enemies to start combos. So like I really like the kind of breath of fresh air thing of, I'd be okay with it doing the turn-based JRPG thing again, but I like the kind of the different thing you have here in the spin-off games. So a lot of what I've been doing has just been wandering around, taking down bad guys, pulling butterflies out of the air, doing side quests. Every once in a while, the little tiger buddy you have digs up something and holds it up to you in his mouth, and you pull it up, and it's like a rare item that he dug up, and like that's super fun. I'm digging a lot of it. I just I progressed the story here before we started recording, and I'm able to customize my ship now. So like I fixed my ship up, I expanded it a little bit so like I can fit more crew members in. Now I can customize it, and I'm sort of getting it ready to go back to the Coliseum where you do like ship to ship battles over there. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm having a lot of fun. You know, shockingly, as someone who loves the Yakuza games, I'm having fun with another one of them. So it's pretty great. Last game here, but certainly not least, 2 Point Museum. Apparently, the version of this that I pre-ordered has me playing it a week early. So I will not look a gift horse in the mouth, and I will play some 2 Point Museum. The thing that strikes me so much about this game is it, from a gameplay perspective, is much more different from the last two games than I was expecting. So 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus were largely similar games of people are coming in to your hospital or campus, you're kind of taking care of them, and then you're sending them off, whether that is like healing their ridiculous ailments, or you're kind of fixing them and educating them and graduating them. In this game, what's really interesting is you start off, the tutorial is much shorter and much more streamlined in this one, which I really appreciate. So much of this game is you have an empty museum, or a museum with maybe one or two exhibits. You're really staffing up the museum and using that staff to go out on expeditions to get new things to display in your museum. So almost like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood style, you're sending X number of your museum staff out to go on a potentially dangerous mission to grab stuff and then bring it back, and then you fix that up, display it in your museum, and then like kind of decorate things around it and put like accoutrement around it, and put like an info card and put a donation bin and stuff like that around it. And that's how you bring people to your museum and kind of entertain and educate them while they're there. Which I think is kind of interesting, because as much as I like these games, I did have a little bit of a concern going into this of like, okay, is this going to just be, and I'd be fine with it, another one of these games where it's like you build this up and then you get another more difficult one and you kind of rinse and repeat over like 10 things. But you having this expedition system helps a whole lot, and you're not just sending them on an expedition to one place, you're kind of getting as much as you can from one place while you're training up and gaining XP for your staff members by doing that. And then as you're doing stuff out on those expeditions and in your museum, as you're kind of improving your museum, you are unlocking additional areas to send out for people on expeditions. So you have this kind of fun loop of bringing that stuff back and improving it to make your museum more popular and more famous, to then allow your staff to go on to more stuff to then make your museum more popular, et cetera, et cetera. So it's this fun kind of loop so far of that kind of gameplay loop, which feels really good so far. And it has the same stuff you love, like you're putting down your cheesy gubbins machine to feed your people that are coming into your museum. You have a gift shop. You have your normal janitors. You have all the normal stuff. You're building rooms to house additional stuff. I'm in a aquarium museum at the moment, so anybody who's doing exhibitions are coming back with fish. So I'm building smaller kind of aquarium, quote unquote, rooms to display those fish that then you have to maintain those rooms. So it's interesting that the focus on this is much less on building and maintaining and improving rooms like they have been in the last two games, and more about building and improving and maintaining the building overall that sometimes has rooms inside of it, at least at this point in the game, which is pretty interesting. That's a bit of a difference from the previous games overall. So I spent a lot of time this week, as much as I could, playing this. I think I have a handful of hours in it. It also helps because it's kid friendly. There's like literally nothing objectionable in this game whatsoever, and even the humor is kind of dry, sarcastic British rather than offensive British. So there's nothing bad in this game whatsoever. And I really have nothing bad to say about this so far. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think it's also the kind of breath of fresh air that I was looking for. I haven't been playing a game like this for a while, so it's kind of like, yeah, I can play one of these 2-point games. Yeah, let's do this. Also really like, one of the things driving so much of this game is you make your visitors happier by putting informational kind of standees and placards next to exhibits, so that the adults that come to your museum are really educating themselves about your displays, and that's what makes them happier. Kids don't care about any of that, though. They don't. Yeah. They're going to completely ignore your stuff. They really don't care about half of this stuff. So you have to build like things for them to play with and climb around on, and that's how the kids that show up get entertained and educated there, which I thought was kind of a fun little twist of just like, kids don't care about any of that, so don't worry about that for them. You have to go build this stuff for them. So that was kind of fun, and feels like it's in the spirit of these games and kids overall. So I'm really impressed by 2-Point Museum so far. It's like I said, it's different from what I was expecting it to be, but in kind of a refreshing way of, I could see how they could potentially keep making these games after this one. I mean, we'll see how this game goes as I kind of continue to go through it. But you can see now how they can continue to sort of play with the formula here, instead of just, it's 2-Point Campus, but now in a museum. It's 2-Point Campus, but now you're doing something else. So that makes me pretty excited for the future. But that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break.
Yep.
Lord, this is a long episode so far.
Be right back.
Okay.
All right.
We're finally playing stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's no real news stories this week. Are my cats up here? Oh yeah, Gris is asleep behind me. Shrimp had, of course, managed to knock something off of my wife's desk behind me, and then was batting it around underneath something. And I was like, I don't know what you have, but I should probably stop this. And it was breakable, so I'm glad I did. Kittens.
Cats. Yeah.
Yeah, they're even though they had a rough start to life, they are both actually really good cats. So I can't complain too much. They're kittens, so like they just have kitten energy, which I can't blame them for. That's what they do.
Yeah. Heck, in this hallway outside of my door, we've got like a small hallway, and there's a vent in the wall, and the cats like to lay in front of that in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
So when I think we had that box. We ordered like a lot of Chinese food one year, and we got them in boxes. And while we were unloading the Chinese food onto the dining room table, we put the box on the floor, and the cats decided, well, this is my box now.
That's right. This is where I live. Thank you so much for my new home.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we moved the box in front of the vent, and that's just what the cats lay in whenever they want to lay in front of the vent.
That's like a vacation.
After years and duct tape, the box finally died.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah, so we tried doing it with different boxes, and it was fine, but like it's such a small space that we're like, all right, we have to find something. So we came up with the idea of, okay, our daughter has a bunk bed for her dolls. What if we just try out and see if the cats would use anything besides a box? So we put the bunk bed there. Cats loved it.
Of course. The
problem is the one cat is too big to be on top of the top bunk and has fallen through the bunk a couple of times now. So it's like, okay, no, it was a great test.
Right.
We need to actually get something for this now. And so we ended up buying like a mini cat condo where it's 3 levels. The bottom level has an opening. The middle level has an opening. And from the cats can get to the middle level from the bottom level as well if they wanted to.
Oh, sure.
And they can just lay on top of it.
That's nice.
The laying on top of it is kind of going to be a problem because it's just like a piece of felt that they have that's spread over it. And the big cat is already putting a nice divot into that felt. So they will eventually crash through it.
Right.
But for right now, it's working great. Both the cats love being inside of it, and it retains all the heat, which is why they're there.
True.
So, like, they're both just loving it. And I got pictures of, like, the smaller cat being on the second level, and she's just got all 4 of her feet out of the condo, but is sleeping inside of it.
Torek in chat says, Shrimp definitely sounds like the troublemaking protagonist of the two. You would think. So, Shrimp's thing is he's pretty blind. He had like really bad double eye infections when he was a cat. He also like died a little bit, like when he was found on the street. We don't talk about that though. We don't want him to feel badly or anything. He's actually a really cautious cat, so he's normally pretty good. Grits, however, is very big and very sweet. He's a very sweet cat. He's also really dumb, like really, really dumb. So that's kind of a bad combo of like a big himbo. He's the one, if you tell Shrimp no, he usually listens. And if he doesn't listen, you usually like clap your hands and be like, hey man, for real, I mean it. And he'll be like, okay, fine, sure, I guess. But Grits will just be like, nope, that's a thing I need to investigate. It's like, no, that will hurt you or break something. You need to not do that. And he'll be like, nope, still doing it. I'm the seal. Bye. It's like, no, you need, nope, stop, please. So a lot of my day is saying, no, Grits, no, and him not listening.
Yep. That's why you got to get a water bottle with a good arc to it. And...
Yeah. I try to only do that for like, all the plants that are in this office are the ones that are toxic to cats. So like they can be in here when we're in here, and when we're not, the door is closed so they don't get up to any plant-based mischief.
Shenanigans.
But like if they're in here and they're like a dog with a bone with checking out these plants, so then we'll give them 1 squirt and they're like, no. But I don't like using the water bottle for normal stuff. Just because
I don't even think we've ever sprayed these cats. We had to put aluminum foil on the counters because, like I said, since they discovered they can get to the second or the third story of the cat condo,
right?
They're like, oh hey, kitchen counters are right here.
Look at
We're
all
like,
this stuff up
no,
here."
you have never been on the counters
That's
before.
right.
Why are you starting
Your
now?
dirty paws do not go up there. Thank you very much.
So we put aluminum foil up on
Yeah,
one of them,
we might
and
have to
that
do
got
that
one of the
soon.
cats real good.
Yeah, they do not like that.
think-
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they learned now. So
All right, are you guys ready for the next part?
yup.
Sure.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of March 3rd, 2025. Carmen Sandiego comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. This is a Netflix published game, so be careful about the iOS and Android versions. They likely will just need the Netflix login if any of the other games are a pattern. But this looks cool. This is kind of shares the same style as the most recent Netflix show, and looks like it's kind of a world-hopping, crime-solving, puzzle figuring out sort of thing.
Actually, it looks like you. Are you playing as Carmen?
Yeah.
Holy! Oh wow! I don't. Have you ever played as Carmen before?
No, but the Netflix show, the kids show, was focused on Carmen herself. So like
Okay.
that was actually a pretty good show. It's only like it's Netflix, so it's probably less than 3 seasons.
I didn't even know that they were doing that. They made a new one. That
Yeah,
they
it's pretty
made
cool.
a game.
It's a cool
In fact, I
anime
posted. I posted a random picture in our Discord. Daybreak 2. There was like a woman who was dressed with like red trench coat and red hat, and I'm like, and she has pictures of like very very nice things.
Right, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah, so that's coming out. Next up, Nights in Tight Spaces comes out on PC. This is the sequel to Fights in Tight Spaces, that like card-based fighting game, turn-based fighting thing that people really loved from a couple of years ago. It's just like a medieval knight version of that. So people are really, really pumped about this kind of like card-based strategy, grid-based, turn-based thing. It seems like they've taken what worked really well in the first one and kind of extended even more. So that'd be cool. I'm sure Alex Navarro from Nextlander will talk a lot about this once it comes out. So I'll listen to what he has to say because he really loved the first one. So next up, 2 Point Museum, PS5, Series consoles, PC, macOS, and Linux. We just talked about that. If you liked what that is, if I remember correctly, it's not a full price game either. I think that's why I pre-ordered the edition that comes with all the dumb Sonic stuff. Like you can sell dumb Sonic plushies in the gift shop. And you have Sonic outfits and stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty great. I like it. So that's 2 Point Museum. Frag Punk comes out, PS5, Series consoles, and PC. It's a free-to-play 5v5 hero shooter, poised to break the rules of combat, as they say.
Oh, here we go again.
Yep. The thing that I think is interesting about this is what they call shard cards, and they're modifiers to the match that affect both teams. So it's not like, oh, the red team has this card, so they get a benefit, or, you know, the blue team has this one, so they get the benefit. It kind of manipulates both teams and manipulates the battlefield for everybody, which seems kind of interesting. I think if you're going to differentiate your shooter here, I think, number one, stylistically looks pretty cool. But number two, that seems like a kind of an interesting thing to keep matches flowing and kind of different. I think they say there's 150 of those cards in there. Wow. Hopefully it's one of those things of like, oh great, we're pushing the thing down this map again. You know, it's not one of those things. So hopefully the variety helps this thing quite a bit. So that's Frag Punk. Looks pretty neat. I don't know. Could be cool. Keep an eye out for it. Split Fiction comes out, PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is the new game from the studio that made It Takes Two. Very similar thing. 2 players, you buy one copy of it, you get 2 copies of it, etc., etc., etc. You've probably seen this all over trailers of this pretty much everywhere. The marketing push seems very, very heavy for this, even outside of the Game Awards stuff. So if you're looking to play something with a buddy, a loved one, an enemy, maybe, I don't know if you can mess somebody up in this game or not, but potentially, check this out. So It Takes Two was a runaway sales success in a way that I don't think anybody really expected it to be. So I'm really curious to see how this game is going to do, especially sort of on the heels of a game that people really loved as a kind of co-op story-based thing. So, cool. Are either of you guys thinking about picking this up at some point, maybe?
I'm interested in it, but I bought It Takes Two and I still haven't played it, so...
Okay. There you go. Yeah. And it'll eventually be on like PS Plus and Game Pass, and eventually, I think It Takes Two was also that was also the case for that. So,
yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah. Next up, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, Gate Rune and Dunin Unification Wars comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. It's just a remaster of the first two games, but now you can afford them. And they're not ridiculously rare.
You still have them.
Back there. Yeah. Ooh, Richie Rich over here, man. I've never played either one of these as much as I really wanted to. There wasn't really a super great way of playing these, like outside of emulation, of course.
Yeah.
Especially after, like, Musa and I were talking about this on the most recent episode of Pup, of like, with how JRPGs were printed and covered on the PS1 era, sometimes you wouldn't find out for months, if not a year, about like, here's the best JRPG you're not playing. It's called Suikoden 2. Also, it's impossible to find now because we made like 2,000 of them. Good luck.
If even that.
Yeah, so like there was really kind of a scarcity issue with that. So I'm really interested to see how these games function here on this version, and whether or not this one is good to pick up. And hopefully it is, because it'd be nice to say like, all right, here are two of the best PS1 JRPGs, and now you can actually go and play them. So, are you thinking about picking this one up, Nimp?
Yes, I am. And my son is super excited to check it out as well.
Nice.
This is one of the games on his list that he's like, oh, I gotta play that at some point.
Yeah. That's one of the things, too, that I love about more JRPGs getting these, even like light remasters of stuff. People seem to forget, like, there are people that are out there that are like, I'm 11 years old, and I love JRPGs. I want to play some of the classics. And the answer is, you can't. So like, it's great to have these, especially collections of these, of like, I don't know how much this is, let's say it's $20. $20 and you get like two of the best JRPGs on the PS1.
Yeah. And it's been a great, like, 2024. We got Dragon Quest 3.
Right.
What else did we get? We got Grandia HD collection forever ago.
Aiden Chronicle. That came out last year,
so it's like, it's been good. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 were supposed to come out this year as well. Lunar 1 and 2 is supposed to come out this year as well.
I forgot about that.
So
yeah.
It's a good year. I'm glad they're figuring out who has ownership of some of these older games, and they're willing to actually release new ones. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm keeping an eye out for that one just to see how it kind of performs. And last but not least here, Power Wash Simulator Wallace and Gromit Special Pack comes out this week. The most British of games is getting the most British of films in the and I say that complimentary.
I absolutely adore the back crazy DLC that we're getting for everything.
Yeah,
because like Power Wash is pretty good, solid. We're also seeing Thomas the Tank Engine come into Train World Simulator. It's just like, what?
That's right. Yep. And also, like, this makes sense for Power Wash, where it's like, we have Shrek, we have SpongeBob, we have Back to the Future, we've got Tomb Raider.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, we've got Final Fantasy, we got Wallace and Gromit. It's like, you know what? Yep, just, if there's anything that's going to be like the Fortnite of something else, just put it all in Power Wash Simulator. Just go bananas over there. I love it.
Okay. What is the most unhinged DLC you would like to see for Power Wash Simulator?
Oh my god.
I mean, they brought that Warhammer one.
Hey, that's
Warhammer's
true.
up there. I'd like to see Alien, but just of
Oh,
like, how are
Alien's a
you
good one.
gonna? How are you gonna? What are you gonna put in there? Squinty eyes.
Uh-huh. That's a good one. You could do the dropship from Aliens. That's a small enough
True.
size to fit into it.
Yep.
Um, my one's a weird one.
Okay.
Dizzy the Egg.
Oh, if you're talking about like British things to put
British
in a
Dizzy
British,
the Egg, yes.
yeah, that'd be that. I would love to see people be like, the who, the
What
egg,
is Dizzy?
and you're like, oh, it's like a
Yeah.
hit on the ZX Spectrum, and they're like, the what, where? What are you talking about? It's
Mhm.
like, yes, yes.
Like a fully 3D Dizzy the Egg world, that would be hilarious.
Can consoles handle it?
No.
Although, what might actually happen more is like an asterisk and obelisk. Obelix?
Oh, that's a good one too,
That'd
actually.
be a really good one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, put all of the British stuff in there. Like we don't get enough
Hey,
games like
Asterix
that.
and Obelisk are French, thank you very
That's
much.
true.
Don't,
That's fair.
don't
I don't
poison
mean to,
my waters with that nightmare.
I don't mean to besmirch an entire island. Okay, well that's all of our releases. We don't really have any news stories, and this episode is turbo long. 5-star runtime. Let's go. So that's the end. TVGP.tv is where you can visit us. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Don't forget the $5 tier is a recommend one that gets you everything. Anything above and beyond that, especially from your very rich friends, will help us out greatly and help us reach our streaming dreams. Be able to pay these guys for anything, which would be really great. That would be super good. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Everything that goes on the public feed has a video version with it as well. It's not just this show. It's also Critical Misses. It's Game Club. It's We Work Like It. It's Picking Up the Pixels. It's everything. So you can get that over there. Rate and review, only positive reviews on your podcatcher, of course, of choice. That would help a whole bunch. We greatly appreciate it. Apparently, my words are starting to fail me as well. I think that's the time where we say goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Nimp. What are your titles?
I have very quick and simple. It is a ridiculous game. A sin of omission. Waiting for the walk and talk. The claw's back. I ate a book. Spoiler thing. And Madlantis.
Madlantis. It's so stupid. All right, Moon, what do you have?
Unhinged Boston. It's a game, I guess. Resident Evil 5 exists. 3 tiers of lobby. Legacy Monster Hunter player. Get the Bug Juice, and Number One Dad.
I have Story Tag, the second tier of lobby. It's possible I've met my Guardian character. Flower Power, The Claw is back, and I ate a book.
Oof, dealer's choice.
There's a lot of them. I feel like I ate a book is like the most TVGP non sequitur possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down with that one. That one or Flower Power.
I feel like I ate a book is punchier. I'm leaning more towards that one. I think that one gets my vote.
Want to see.
Googling eating books. There has to be like a medical term for eating books. Like, what's the book version of pica?
All right, I'm ready.
Oh my. Moon is deep in thought here.
Yep.
pulling on his literary knowledge. Speaking of, I don't know if you guys saw in Discord that I was mapping my mental health to number of books read so far.
Oh yeah, you've destroyed it.
I had just crossed over 21 books last night.
Jeez.
My goal this year, 30. So, crushing it.
You gotta say, slow that roll, man.
I can't because it replaces doom scrolling. And I feel like I should be on social media. I said, nope. Open in the Kindle app. Reading those books. Probably a better use of my time. Definitely a better use of my mental health.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 906, or March 3rd, 2025. I ate a book.
It was actually made of flesh.
I once swallowed a book of cinnamon. Oh man, I messed it all up.
Take 2.
Go. Take 2.
Once swallowed a book of cinnamon. Nope. Not gonna be able to say it. I don't know what it is today. I cannot say words.
So good. That's this episode, man.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We do greatly appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.